With each passing day, it was becoming more obvious that the war would not have a peaceful end. All over America, people received a letter from their government. It contained a simple pamphlet with a short set of instructions and pictures. In event of nuclear disaster, the looming threat from the Eastern Bloc is growing. In order to save yourself and your family, it is of the utmost importance that you act now. Build a fallout shelter. Dig a hole in your garden. Make it 8 by 4 by 6 feet at least. See pictures. If you do not own a garden, find a suitable spot somewhere else, even if it's on someone else's land. The law has been changed to allow people to build a shelter each. In case of a nuclear threat, you are to bring your family into the hole and cover it with the door. Make sure the door has weights fastened to it. See pictures. If you hear a detonation, wait approximately 2 hours before you leave the shelter, to be sure that there are not more bombs coming. Good luck. The following days, people busied themselves with following the instructions. It was a very strange sight. The whole of Central Park, New York was filled with these makeshift shelters. Driving down a street, you could see one by every house. And when the alarm sounded, people scrambled into them. Those who had not built a shelter of their own forced their way into others. In hindsight, it is impossible to know how many believed that the shelters would save them, and how many realized that they had simply been asked to dig their own graves. Wars are expensive, and every penny counts. It's one of the worst places to put a window. In the bathroom. Now, you might be wondering why that might be. There are windows in bathrooms all the time, aren't there? But you see, in my bathroom, our shower and bathtub are combined, and our wonderful window sits right there in that space, above the bathtub and under the shower. Now, if the window was frosted glass, there wouldn't be a problem. But our window was as clear as they could come. Basically just a normal window. And since we couldn't put a curtain over it, because shower water, my parents settled on a sticker that simulated the effects of frosted glass. But still, there were those tiny slivers of clear glass on the edges that you could see through. And the fact that the window faced a parking lot and another apartment building did not help at all. Growing up, that window was something that haunted my nightmares. I suppose it didn't help that I had a morbid fascination with horror stories, even though I couldn't sleep for days after reading one. I used to shower as quickly as I could, imagining a tall, dark figure pressing its face against the window pane, or a decrepit old woman banging on the glass, or a gross old man living in the apartment building peering through the slivers of clear glass. Of course, I tried to calm myself after such imaginations. The tiny slivers of clear glass couldn't show anything. The window was 14 stories above the ground, so unless it was a climbing master, our bathroom was unreachable from the outside. And besides, even if the mystery creature was a climber, the window could barely fit a child through it. The monsters of my imagination wouldn't be able to fit into the tiny space. And besides, there were plenty of other bigger windows in my apartment to worry about. Time passed, but that window never left my mind. I think it was the fact that I had nothing to do as I shampooed besides stare out that window into the darkness beyond the sticker and imagine twisted tales to entertain myself with. As I grew up, and I realized that monsters weren't real, I comforted myself with the idea that anything threatening me through the window was impossible. If my twiggy little body can't get through that space, what can, you know? Now I can't help but scoff at my younger self's fears. As I sit in the bathtub, staring at the locked door and listening to the gurgling screams of my mother and the raging bellows of the man who broke into my home, my mind is again filled with the thoughts of that bathroom window. A window too small for me to fit through, 14 stories above the ground. I have to type faster because my battery is on 26%. And oh god, I just hope it lasts. I wish I had my charger with me, but as it is, I have to ration my remaining battery. You see, I'm lying in bed right now, staring into my phone screen. I have to keep my phone on. because when it's off, I can see it in the blank reflection behind me. And every time I switch off my phone, it gets a little closer. Good morning, sunshine. Time to wake up. I open my eyes and see Nurse Judy, ready to give me my morning injection. I sit on the bed and roll up my pajama sleeve. I feel the needle under my skin and the medication flowing inside my veins. The nurse gives me a wide smile. Good girl. You can go to the canteen now and have breakfast with your friends. Friends. I don't have friends here. My friends are almost 60 miles away from me, enjoying life, learning new stuff, making out at parties. Certainly not spending their youth in a psychiatric ward. My parents put me there. It was after another anxiety attack at school. I lost control and tried to do something stupid. Now everything seems stupid to me. I pass by Nusty Nora's room. Her yelling is impossible to ignore. She keeps screaming Kelly and Jenna over and over again, whatever these names mean. I see 2 doctors rushing to her room with a set of tranquilizers. This place is full of people like her, and I don't think I belong here. I entered the canteen and hear a loud surprise. I look around and see other patients gathered around a cake with number candles, 1 and 7, and an inscription. Happy birthday, Robin. Right. It's my 17th birthday. Yay. I totally forgot. I force myself to smile and blow out the candles. The cake tastes like soap, or a cough syrup. I hide both candles in my pocket when nobody's watching. I guess it's the only gift I can count on today. I stop one of the nurses on the way back to my room. I ask if my parents are going to see me. She just shrugs and walks away without saying a word. Bitch. As I lay in bed, I stretch my arms out and look at my hands. They look so weird. So damn weird. Maybe it's a side effect of those medications. Nurse Judy interrupts my contemplation. She storms in with an afternoon dosage of pills. How are you feeling, my dear? Did you like your birthday surprise? She asks with that annoyingly sweet smile. Yeah, I forgot today's the day. She takes my hand and says, Oh, don't worry, darling, it happens to everybody. As she holds my hand, I ask her why my skin looks so strange. Nurse Judy gives me a sympathetic gaze. I think that's just normal at your age, don't you think so, sweetie? Is she trying to make a fool of me? Oh, I've had enough. But I'm only 17, I say imploringly. I don't know any other teenager with hands like these, just look. I take the candles out of my pocket and almost rub them in her face. You see? 1 and 7, 17, I bellow. Judy gently takes the candles from my shaking hands. Robin, it's not 17. Let me show you the right order. It's 7 and 1. 71. It's funny how things could change in a year, sending your world crashing down completely. I was in front of the television when it was called a case of delirium initially. A homeless man in Romania that brutally attacked 3, maybe 4 passers-by, biting off their necks completely. As more attacks began, it was merely mass hysteria, so they said, until it wasn't, and they half-heartedly admitted that it was a mass outbreak of rabies. The lies they told even to the end. God, it makes me sick. Now I wander along the frozen lakefront, the frost-tipped woods around me, silent. I'm looking for a spot, a piece of flat and soft ground big enough for me to rest on. It's hard to tell when thick gray snow envelops the lifeless forest floor, and it's hard to continue on all alone. My torn shoes sinking into the snow helplessly with each step. It wasn't like this at the beginning. When all things were still in the process of going to shit, I had found myself the survivors' camp hidden deep inland. A whole colony of people from the city who had not succumbed to the disease, virus, whatever you choose to call it. We were self-sustaining, with enough supplies to tide us through for years. Disturbances were inevitable. but keeping our movements quiet and blowing out the flames was enough for the rabid ones beyond the electric fence to eventually turn away. A simple and careless mistake was all it took. The patrolling shift had not locked the gates behind them. The one night where a few rabid people came knocking. The few I made it out with did not last long. The killers were the minimal amount of food we had. The bitter cold and, above all, the loss of hope. And I was soon all alone again, knowing that I'll never have company from someone else alive and uninfected again. I found a spot, a clearing beneath a patch of barren maple trees. I'll be digging a hole wide and long enough for me to lie down comfortably in. Then I'll wait for the ashy snow to fall upon me, a blanket to eventually cover me whole. I'm not afraid of dying. Hell, I'm not even against being infected and becoming one of them. I'm just choosing the way I end, because I'm scared that when I inevitably collapse and take my last breath, there'll be no one left to bury me. A private digging crew called my company late last summer, requesting a consultation down in Brazil. I wasn't interested in visiting some cavern in the middle of nowhere, but the photos they sent me were too intriguing to pass up. From what I could see, the bones they uncovered were part of some mass grave. There were human bones, of course, as well as a variety of animal parts. Without structure or pattern, the layout of the remains looked completely random, like an ancient pile of death left undisturbed until recently. The strangest thing about them is how they looked warped, almost fused together. Bones in mass graves don't do that, even when burned. If this mass grave was set ablaze, the bones would have broken apart due to the heat, but this was different and quite abnormal. I had to see it for myself. I made the trip after spending over a month preparing. We had to hire a translator for the journey and armed escorts to and from the dig site, which took some time to organize. When I finally found myself at the mouth of the cavern, I'd been obsessing over this day for weeks. The leader of the crew met us at the entrance. He looked far less excited than I felt, which put me on edge. "What's wrong?" I asked the translator. She asked the leader and frowned at his answer. "They found more bones," she said, "but there's something wrong. They're not a part of the pile. Take me to them." We walked past the mass grave, which had been more fully uncovered since I had last seen them in photographs. The full extent of the death I saw before me was chilling, to say the least. We continued, all the way to the far end of the cavern. The leader pointed to a part of the wall that was lit by a generator-powered light. Over a square foot of wall seemed to be made of solid bone. "My God, what is this connected to?" I asked. The leader said something to a nearby worker, who pointed the light up. All along the wall, with large gaps in between, were unearthed stretches of bone. The leader started pointing along the walls and talking. He says that this can be found all along the cavern. The translator said, wide-eyed. He needs to uncover more, but his theory is that it's a ribcage. And with that, I understood. The pile wasn't a mass grave and the bones weren't burned. The bones had been fused by stomach acid. We were, quite literally, in the belly of the beast. Hey guys, the Dark Narrator here, and thank you guys so much for watching this video. I love doing these short scary story videos. Not only are they incredibly fun to read because there's so many people on this subreddit with so many different ideas of what a horror story is, you just get so many different types of stories, and I think collecting them all in one video for multiple volumes is like really, really cool. Just to have all that variety just in one video, because I'm a variety horror channel. I don't like to just do one thing. So the fact that I can also have that variety in a video is really cool, because it's not just, ghosts. It's not just like stalkers. It's not just aliens. It can all be that in one. And that's something for everyone. They can listen and be like, wow, I really like that story because I really like those types of stories. Or I like this one because of that. And that's why I do them, because I like that concept so much. I also think the subreddit is just a really good idea, because short scary stories were always something that I did. I wrote a book on short scary stories of just me writing them. I have one still in progress from last year. I grew up reading those short scary stories from creepypasta.com, and without them I wouldn't be a narrator today, so it still holds a special place in my heart. I know that's all sappy and stupid shit. Anyways, like I said, thank you guys so much for watching. Hit that subscribe button if you want to see more of this beautiful non-face of the mummy and all that stuff. Also hit that bell to get notifications every single time I post, because YouTube is weird and they just want us to have a different way of notifying people, even though sub boxes were fine. It's whatever. Hit that like button to let me know that you liked it, and comment down below what you want to see next. I love you guys so much. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time for another video. See you later.